Hello, good evening. My name is Vanessa Ordonez, and I am the Chief of Police in Anthony, New Mexico. I'd like to welcome everyone to Prevention Live, brought to you by the Center for Health Innovations Prevention and the Community Collaborations Department. Prevention Live is a weekly bilingual series that's focused on topics aimed at preventing youth substance use among Southwest New Mexico communities. I will like to note that the CHI staff will be working behind the scenes as I share this information with you. And please feel free to throw comments or questions in the chat. A staff member will respond to you as soon as possible. So last week, we promised to discuss more potential legal consequences of providing alcohol to those who are under the age of 21. Tonight, we will be talking about social host ordinances. I know I'd like to just kind of comment briefly that the City of Anthony did adopt and approve the social host ordinance in January of 2017. Since the social host ordinance was implemented, we have issued at least a little over 6 social host citations that have resulted in court involvement. And some of that court involvement, it actually has involved fines of up to $279. It's also involved other court involvement, such as having defendants support the Mothers Against Drunk Driving by making a slight donation to them. And there's also been others that have been dismissed. And that's just to name a few. So I'd like to, let me just pull up my screen here. I'd like to move on with the presentation, discussing youth alcohol use. The Southwest region of New Mexico, 30% of the 9th to 12th grade students are current drinkers. Let's think about a high school basketball game. So you have 10 players on the court at a time and 5 from each team. This statistic means that 3 of those 10 players are current alcohol drinkers. So as you can see here, our region is higher than the state average in current drinking, binge drinking, and high intensity binge drinking. That is really high. For example, you have the 8% of binge drinking are amongst our youth. It's higher than the state average. So if you are wondering what binge drinking and high intensity drinking are, let's talk about binge drinking. It's drinking 4 or more drinks of alcohol in a row if you are a female, or 5 or more drinks of alcohol in a row if you are a male. So high intensity drinking is 10 or more drinks in a row. That's a lot of drinks in a row. 10 is a lot of drinks in a row for high intensity drinking. So not only is it illegal for minors to consume alcohol, but it is absolutely not safe. Underage drinking comes with high risk consequences, including, but not limited to, unplanned sexual activity, sexual assault, there's fights, there's unintentional and intentional injuries, mental health issues, and problems in school. So now that you know more about what underage drinking looks like in our region, let's switch gears to adult New Mexico community members. So the New Mexico Community Survey asked New Mexico residents ages 18 to 20 years old about their drinking habits in the previous 30 days. Almost 40% are current drinkers. 17% have participated in binge drinking. So when you have the same age group who was asked how they got this alcohol, 65% of them said that they got it from an adult who is over the age of 21. 25% of those were adults, of those adults were family members. So this same survey also asked New Mexico residents 18 and over if and when it is okay to provide alcohol to minors. 40% stated that it was okay, and here are some of the reasons. Okay, if the minors are drinking in a home environment, if they are responsible, and if they are supervised by an adult. So now that we know that minors are drinking alcohol and those over the age of 21 are okay with providing them with alcohol, the question is, how can we prevent this from happening? So let's talk about some prevention efforts. So some of the prevention efforts are, we want to hold those adults accountable when they're breaking alcohol laws regarding providing alcohol to a minor. It's a proven strategy to prevent alcohol use among minors. I will note that last week we were focusing on the legality of providing alcohol to minors, but felonies are not the only way to enforce alcohol laws. There are social host ordinances that can also be used. Okay, so let's move on to the social host ordinance. These social host ordinances are local laws that hold adults accountable for providing the space for minors to drink alcohol at their homes or on their property. So we talk about social host ordinance and prevention, and these are tools that are meant to deter adults from providing alcohol to minors. The consequences of receiving a social host ordinance violation, it varies depending on the municipality, but it is usually a fine for the first offense. For example, in our city of Anthony in New Mexico, the first offense carries a fine of $250, and repeat offenses can include jail time. So as a reminder, a fourth-degree felony, it holds a fine of $5,000 and up to a year in jail. And that, that doesn't really restrict a municipal court judge from implementing other efforts to hold defendants accountable when they are found in violation of the social host ordinance. For example, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, judges can actually allow for support for Mothers Against Drunk Driving or Crime Stoppers or anything of that nature, to try to mitigate, to also like promote the community involvement, but to also hold the defendants accountable for their behavior when they're allowing, social host to happen. So in theory, this sounds like a good idea, right? We can still hold people accountable without the hefty burden of having a fourth-degree felony on their record. But one of the questions that really comes up is, does it actually work? Does that social host ordinance work? Is it successful? So social host success has indicated that the answer is yes. These ordinances focus on where the drinking takes place rather than just who provides the alcohol. Social host ordinances make it easier to intervene quickly and efficiently before a large party gets out of hand, and it actually results in criminal activity and sanctions. So much like laws regulating speed limits, they set a standard to which everyone is expected to adhere to, and it keeps everyone safe. So they are effective. One jurisdiction responded or had reported that only 3% of those who were cited with social host ordinances were repeat offenders. So there are even considerable benefits for communities to adopt them. So some of the other benefits that we want to kind of touch base on are communities, they do see fewer DWIs and fewer costs to emergency medical services and local law enforcement. Many social host ordinances include clauses that help to recoup costs associated with the emergency services. And this also saves the community money, and it also frees up tax money to be used on community advancement. So the question is, who supports social host ordinances? And as such, we have a variety of different supporters, different stakeholders in the community who do support this, and parents are people who support this. They like social host ordinances because most parents are not comfortable with other people deciding that their child can drink alcohol. And then you have community members like social host, they like social host ordinances because they help keep neighborhoods and youth safe. And then you have law enforcement officers who also like this ordinance because they provide an additional tool to hold adults responsible for allowing underage drinking. And I am proud to say that, we are part of the social host ordinance, and, these ordinances have been adopted in our area, and some of the places that these include are the town of Mesilla, the village of Hatch, Sunland Park, ourselves, and it even extends as far out as El Paso, Texas. But I know nationally that social host ordinances are being adopted. So follow these Southern New Mexico prevention programs for more information. This helps to keep your families and loved ones safe. Prevention Live is brought to you by the Center for Health Innovations Prevention and Community Collaboration programs in Doniana, Grant, Hidalgo, and Luna counties, and key partners at the Otero County Prescription Drug Overdose Prevention Program and the Club of Sierra County. So I'd like to note that the next Prevention Live is Help Youth Say No with Confidence, which is going to be presented by Ms. Renee Meraz of the Peak Behavioral Health. I thank everyone for coming in on this presentation, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to contact me at the City of Anthony Police Department. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.